Good afternoon and welcome to Channel 44. I am Masiga Shego Sembatia to bring you this afternoon's news bulletin together with Livingstone Kawesi and
Nwahereza Bill Clinton.
Yes, Bill. To
begin with, from our local news in brief this afternoon, we shall begin with crime rates shooting up by the percent in police unit. While releasing the 2022 annual crime and traffic safety report at police headquarters in Naguru, Kampala yesterday, Inspector General of Police Martineth Okoth Ochola blamed the rise in the number of cases to the reopening of the economy following the lockdown instituted to curb the spread of the COVID-19. According to the report, a total of 231,653 cases recorded in 2022 compared to 196,081 the previous year. The 18% increase comes despite various measures put in place by the government to curb crime in the country, which include even the CCTV camera installing. Out of the total cases recorded in 2022, 68,405 were taken to court and 26,749 were proceeded with, while 136,499 are pending investigations. The police chief noted that the number of cases successfully handled had improved compared to 2021, where 65,008 cases were taken to court on a number of 61,095 not proceeded with and 70,978 were completed. This reflects a great improvement in cases taken to court by 5.2%. Mr. Ochola said there was an increase in common traffic offences registered by the Directorate of Traffic and Road Safety countrywide from 336,722 to 456,999 in the last year, 2022. The Director of Criminal Investigations, Mr. Tom Magabo, said that narcotics, breaking-ins, land grabbing, and child-related offences were top 5 offences recorded in 2022. Mrs. Rachel Odoi, the technical advisor at the Justice, Law and Order sector, said statistics show a relative trend with increase in certain crimes and decrease in others, like it was the case in previous years about the defilement case, which is no longer a case now. Mrs. Odoi also added that following the previous lockdown, there was increased use of digital platforms for transfer of money, mobile money banking, and then money transfers that becomes a target area of crime, which they are needed to pay more attention to. Highlights of these cases was also included in this report. 2018, 238,746 cases were reported. Then 2019, 215 cases, 225 cases were reported. Then 2021, 196,081 were reported. 2022, 231,653 cases were reported. Mercy, out of the Pearl of Africa.
Saturday's presidential election in Nigeria that is happening over the weekend may come to be remembered as the moment when young people went up against the establishment, spurred on by the 2020 EndSARS anti-police brutality protests that morphed into calls for good governance. Millions of young people have registered as first-time voters, hoping to elect a president from a relatively unknown party to represent them and bring change. Though the protests were brutally halted by the army, the disbandment of the SARS police unit, notorious for profiling young people, was considered a success. That seems to have galvanized young Nigerians frustrated by decades of stagnation, insecurity, and high unemployment in Africa's most populous country, and they are targeting the highest office in the land. In Mozambique, people living in areas prone to flooding in Mozambique's southern capital province of Gaza will be forcefully removed amid heavy rains, according to authorities. A planned release of water from the Masingir Dam could also result in death, according to the Provincial State Secretary of State. Gaza is also likely to be affected by Cyclone Freddy, which has caused destruction in the island of Madagascar. UN head Antonio Guterres has condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine as an affront of the world's collective conscience at a meeting of the General Assembly nearly 1 year on. The meeting was debating a motion backed by Ukraine and its allies demanding Russia pull out immediately and unconditionally. Ukraine hopes that by supporting the motion, countries will show solidarity. The Kremlin has accused the West of wanting to defeat Russia at any cost. And Israeli troops have killed at least 11 Palestinians and wounded dozens more during a raid in the occupied West Bank, according to Palestinian health officials. Explosions and gunfire sounded as troops entered the old city of Nablus on Wednesday morning, sparking armed clashes with Palestinian gunmen. The Israeli military said it killed 3 wanted militants holed up inside a house who refused to surrender. Several of those killed were civilians, including 2 elderly men. Elsewhere, a fierce winter storm has caused widespread disruptions in the United States, while southeastern parts of the country brace for record high temperatures. As of yesterday, about 75 million people in 28 states have been placed under winter weather alerts. Blizzards in the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin have forced many schools and businesses to close. Meanwhile, high temperatures in Washington, D.C. are expected to break a nearly 150-year-old record. Still in the U.S., former U.S. President Donald Trump has accused federal officials of indifference to an Ohio town that is reeling from a toxic train derailment. On a visit to East Palestine, Mr. Trump claimed his presence had spurred the Biden administration to devote more resources to this month's crash. Local residents have expressed frustration at what they saw as a lack of answers from officials. The U.S. Department of Defense has released an image taken by an airman as he flew over the Chinese balloon shot down earlier this month. The selfie was taken from the cockpit of a U-2 spy plane as military leaders tracked the high-altitude balloon's progress over the continental U.S. Beijing has maintained that the balloon was weather ship blown off course. Washington says the balloon was part of a sprawling Chinese intelligence collection program. As the balloon flew over U.S. territory, at least 2 planes gathered information on its features and trajectory. Being a meteorologist in Southern California might seem very easy every day, every day is usually sunny and warm. That was the meteorologist Evelyn Taft of station KCAL, who has been covering California weather for nearly 14 years and stresses this is a bizarre weather event for Southern California, known locally as SoCal, and it is very unbelievable, according to her. Canada's military has said it recently discovered evidence of Chinese surveillance efforts in the Arctic. The discovery, first reported by Canadian newspaper The Globe and Mail, has raised questions about China's activities in the far north. It comes after a suspected spy Chinese balloon floated through U.S. and Canadian airspace before it was shot down by the U.S. military. China has also been recently accused of interfering with Canadian elections. And rescuers have found the bodies of all 4 people on board a small plane which crashed into an active Philippine volcano last week. Authorities today confirmed the deaths of 2 Filipino pilots and 2 Australian passengers. Such teams had scoured the slopes of Mayon volcano since Sunday, when the aircraft rocket was spotted about 300 meters from the crater. And over to Africa, Equatorial Guinea Vice President Theodore Nguema Obiang Mangu has dismissed a resolution by the European Parliament which holds Equatorial Guinea authorities responsible for the death of opposition leader Julio Obama Mefuman. In a series of posts, Obiang Mangu, who is also the son of President Theodore Obiang Nguema, accused the European Parliament of resorting to a colonial and paternalistic discourse and of disparaging Equatorial Guinea institutions and its representatives. And finally, a final day of campaigning is getting underway in Nigeria ahead of Saturday's presidential poll. 3 contenders are thought to have a chance of winning in Africa's most populous country. It is thought to be the most competitive election since the end of the military rule in 1999. All sides have promised to resolve any disputes through the courts. In addition to the candidates from parties, the governing All Progressives Party and the People's Democratic Party, a third leading contender, has emerged. Peter Obi of the Labour Party has attracted enthusiastic support from young activists on social media.
We continue to remind you to hydrate. The temperatures now are estimated on 28 degrees Celsius and then the humidity of 52%. However, we shall encourage you that let us remind you of what to tell your friends who have not yet gotten a chance to have us like you do. Not to go to so many struggles scrolling to other channels, but dial these numbers when they have these particular satellites that I'm reading for you. On DSTV, they shall only get us on 297. Go TV, they will get us at 812, Star Times 290, then Zuku TV 056, Azam TV 152, free to air number 12, your TV, we are there. Afro Mobile app, we are also there, and Airtel TV, we are there. Star Times satellite 468, all in the names of Channel 44, the best name in television. Mercy.
Well, that brings us to the end of this afternoon's news bulletin. Thank you for watching Channel 44. We'll be back at exactly 4 p.m. with the latest in business in and around the world, in Uganda and around the world. Stay tuned to Channel 44. Pastor Jessica Kayanja is coming up next with a lunch hour program that is going to help you build your spiritual life. Enjoy your afternoon. A good afternoon.